So, coming in at number 5 is a very intriguing and just crazy murder. But sadly, this community would never be the same. So, who am I talking about? I'm talking about Bruce Pardo. Bruce Pardo is the man responsible for the Covina Massacres. He was an aerospace engineer at a firm out in Cali called ITT, Electronic Systems and Radar Systems. Now, I did have to check that name a couple times because I was like, why is it saying systems back to back like that? But that's the name of it, y'all. He was a homeowner. He was well respected in his community. He was a very well regarded man. But Bruce was hiding a couple things. That Bruce was hiding some deep, dark secrets. And he was actually full of revenge and hate. Hey y'all, welcome to Messy Motives, a true crime podcast. I'm your host, Sincerely Jas, here to guide you through cases that are wild, twisted, and just plain messy. Now listen, I'm a girl that loves true crime. So of course I would make a podcast talking about some of the craziest cases that I've researched. Now, to kick off our inaugural season, we're starting with the top 5, or Jasmine's top 5 craziest holiday murders. Okay, we have everything from the Covina Massacres that happened in 2008 out in Cali. We have Charles Lawson, who was a devoted husband and father from right here in North Carolina. And then we have William Wallace, who was just obsessive and just seeking ultimate revenge. Then we have Aziz Yaz, who was just a little bit weird. And then the mother of all holiday murders. Now, this one has, I think, captured America for years, okay? Nobody seems to know what happened to JonBenet Ramsey. Now, I feel like I know what happened to her, but I'm going to try to wait my hardest these next couple weeks as we dive into case after case to give y'all my opinion on who I think killed JonBenet Ramsey. So, coming in at number 5 is a very intriguing and just crazy murder. Okay, this one, when I was researching this case, I was like, hold on, what? Like, this just happened while I was in high school. So I'm like, hold on, bruh. Hold on. But, picture this. It's 2008. You are living in California, out in Los Angeles, California. It's Christmas Eve. You know, Christmas Eve is supposed to be the happiest time of the year. You're supposed to be, spending time with your family and friends, enjoying the weather. Now, granted, you are in Cali, so, it's probably not too cold, but you're still enjoying the time with your families and loved ones, right? But sadly, this community would never be the same. So, who am I talking about? I'm talking about Bruce Pardo. Bruce Pardo is the man responsible for the Covina Massacres. He was an aerospace engineer at a firm out in Cali called ITT, Electronic Systems and Radar Systems. Now, I did have to check that name a couple times because I was like, why is it saying systems back to back like that? But that's the name of it, y'all. It may be something else now. He was a homeowner. He was well respected in his community. He was a very well regarded man. But Bruce was hiding a couple things. Okay? As you listen throughout this episode, you'll see that Bruce was hiding some deep, dark secrets. And he was actually full of revenge and hate. So, Bruce was already a homeowner out in Cali. So he had this good job. He had a beautiful home. Bruce was living his life, right? So then about 2005, he met a woman named Sylvia Ortega. Sylvia Ortega and Bruce married very, very quickly. Now, Sylvia had 3 children. One child for sure that we know lived with them. It was a 5-year-old little girl. Now, they married really quickly. They married literally 2006. Now, for me, this is where it starts to get messy. Okay, so remind y'all. I said that Sylvia had 3 children. Okay, Sylvia worked too, but she was like a florist or so at like a flower shop. So basically, when they got married, Bruce didn't want to like merge their finances. He basically was like holding back from her, telling her like what's going on with all these finances, and he had control issues. Now, one of Sylvia's friends actually confirmed this. Okay, she confirmed that Bruce did have a little bit of control issues. But one of the things that I thought was the most shocking is that Bruce basically told Sylvia, hey, the money that you make, you need to use that to take care of your kids. He did not want Sylvia, he did not want to use his money to help take care of her kids. Now, I feel like that is a huge red flag, because if you're marrying someone, then you're marrying their children as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're stepdaddy at this point. And how you gonna have like the kids in the house and you ain't helping take care of them? So I feel like something like that should have been talked about before marriage. But again, we don't know if this was discussed or not. But either way, you know, it wasn't too big of a red flag because Sylvia ended up marrying Bruce. Now, because they got married so quick, of course, this was a huge red flag, and eventually this would be the downfall of their marriage. So the couple ended up divorcing 2 years later, December 18th, 2008. Now, this was a very contentious divorce, but from reading different reports, they're saying that Bruce was actually very amicable. Like, during the divorce proceedings, he was very cordial and polite, but deep down inside, Bruce was already planning some bull. Okay, and when I say planning some bull, I mean planning some bull. So in the divorce, Bruce was granted the house and his cars. Sylvia, she kept her diamond wedding ring, furniture, the dog, and Bruce was ordered to pay her a cashier's check the following day for $10,000. Now, I said I wasn't going to mention this part, but have y'all seen that episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta? It was like early, like season 3, where Dwight was accusing Greg of borrowing $10,000, and so Nene approaches him and she's like, Greg borrowed $10,000. That's kind of like what I hear when I see that $10,000 check. Don't judge me for it, I'm just saying. And it's not to make light of it, I'm just saying, you know, we're keeping it light and talkative over here, okay? But anyway, because of all this, Bruce started having financial difficulties, okay? So this is one thing to note too. Before this divorce, Bruce ended up losing his job, okay? His good engineering job. He lost his job around July 2008. So on top of him going through a divorce, he loses his job, okay? Now, what I've seen in reports, the reason why they're saying that the main reason for them divorcing was because, y'all, Bruce was hiding a secret. And I don't get how you can do this, but he did. Bruce had a secret baby, okay? Now, this baby was actually from a prior relationship with his girlfriend at the time named Elena. Something happened as far as like one day Elena went to the grocery store and left the baby at home with Bruce. Well, at the time, I guess Bruce had a pool where he lived at. the child, which I'm not gonna mention the child's name, the child went outside swimming. Well, Elena comes home. Bruce is on the couch, checked out, out of it. And she's like, Bruce, where is my child, And he's like, I don't know. Y'all, the baby was damn near drowning in the pool. So, thankfully, Elena was able to save the child. But unfortunately, the child suffered ongoing medical issues after this. So, because of this, they end up breaking up. And so where Sylvia comes into play is that, like, when they got married, Sylvia was like, where's all your money going? Well, Elena had filed for child support. And so Bruce was having to pay child support. So that's why he, again, was having difficulties with his money. So he had already lost his job. He was going through a divorce. And he was just up to debt in his, how do you say that? Up to debt in his eyeballs? However you say it. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so he was really, really struggling. So, like, at first, before the judge ordered the $10,000, he actually asked the judge to consider his financial situation. And that's how it came up that he had another job, because they looked at all his money. Well, the judge was like, okay, well, instead of paying, we'll say $1,500 a month, you'll just pay her $10,000 at one time. Because at first, in their divorce proceedings, they had said that he would give her spousal support of like X amount of dollars for so many months. Well, instead of that, this is what he got. Okay, now I told y'all that in July, Bruce had lost his job. He was going through a divorce, and he was having to pay so much money. Now, mind you, he had been in contact with Sylvia's attorney saying, after the divorce was finalized, saying, hey, I ain't really got that money right now. I'm working to get it. So he had been contacting the divorce attorney. But I think it's important for us to take a step back and look at what led up to this Christmas Eve nightmare. So around September, right after he had lost his job, Bruce goes to a local costumer. Okay, so for the costumer, he asked him to make him an extra large Santa suit. Now, from the pictures that I've seen, Bruce was not a fat guy, but he wasn't super, super small either. But the suit is described as being 2XL, 3XL kind of thing, basically showing that Bruce was not no 3XL. So he basically began planning what was about to go down. So he began buying some guns. He bought some 9mm. He bought some ammo. He bought some fuel. And he started building a device similar to a bomb. Now, mind you, remember I told you Bruce was an engineer. So it's not like he was, stupid. He was very intelligent. And he was very calculated, and he was very vengeful. So now it's Christmas Eve. Okay. It's, the kids are outside, they're playing, everybody's in their festive holiday sweaters. You're just having, maybe you're doing your last minute shopping, because some of us are like that. And you're just ready to, maybe go to those holiday parties. I know for me, on Christmas Eve, I'm going to a Christmas party somewhere. Now, actually, this is something that I forgot to mention. So in September, when he got the Santa suit, my thing is, why did he get a Santa suit in September? Apparently, he had told the costumer, yeah, I'm going to a holiday party in November, and I'm going to be Santa Claus. Now, from reports, the costumer said, oh yeah, that's a little weird that he got it, one, so big, two, who gets a Santa suit in September? You know what I'm saying? That's just odd, right? But anyway, so we're back at Christmas Eve now. So Christmas Eve, Bruce goes through his normal routine. He gets up and he goes to a local cafe. Now, the local cafe, he orders his usual little breakfast. So he ordered like a raspberry Danish, a turkey sandwich, and his little coffee. So then the coffee shop owner, or the cafe owner, he approaches Bruce and he's like, hey, you know, hope you have a good Christmas. And, you know, they're exchanging pleasantries. And from what I saw, the cafe owner said that he did feel a little weirdness from, like a little bit of weird energy from Bruce, but he wasn't able to really like call it. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't really sure what the weirdness was. Now, the day of Christmas Eve, Bruce does two interesting things. He rents two cars. I wasn't able to find where he rented the two cars from, but he rented them. Now, we don't know why as of yet, but from my research, basically, Bruce... Okay, I'm not going to tell y'all yet. I ain't going to tell it yet. I ain't going to tell it. So, this is the thing. That evening, Bruce knew that his ex-wife, her family was having a huge holiday Christmas Eve party. Basically, Bruce and Sylvia's families were actually still pretty close despite the contentious divorce and, you know, like what all happened after the divorce. Because Sylvia did end up moving out once she filed for a divorce, and she ended up moving with her brother-in-law and her sister. But you know, Bruce felt like he was like over the edge once she moved out, and then on down the line she ended up moving in with her parents. Now, she had a really good relationship with her family. She loved them. They were really tight-knit. And actually, the night of the Christmas party, some of Bruce's family were supposed to be there. But apparently, I think someone wanted to go to church or something like that, and they ended up changing their mind and going to church instead of going to the holiday party. Which, honestly, that might have saved their life. But, you know, the thing I think about is like, okay, I didn't go to the holiday party. I don't know, like, because of everything that happened, I would feel so much remorse and just feel, I don't know, I just think that would be like a heavy burden to carry every day, knowing that it could have been you. You know what I'm saying? So, it's Christmas Eve, about 10 p.m. Bruce is pulling out of his driveway at his house, okay? So, of course, y'all know those nosy neighbors and one of his sons, they see Bruce leaving in this rental car. So the neighbor goes up to him and he's like, hey man, where you going? Where you get this car from? And Bruce is like, oh, I'm going to a family Christmas Eve party. And so, this is a question I have. Why did Bruce rent the car? You know what I'm saying? It's like, and then it's like, okay, I understand why he might have rented it because, you know, during the holidays, maybe he's traveling and he don't want to put all those miles on his own car because he had just won the cars in the divorce. So it's not like he didn't have a car. But what you'll find out is that Bruce was very detailed. He was very intentional with his plans and what he decided to do. So keep listening. Now, remember I told y'all Bruce had ordered a costume back in September. Well, of course, it's Christmas Eve. He has the Santa costume. So he's driving to his ex-in-law's house. Now, mind you, the in-laws only live 20 miles from where Bruce and Sylvia used to live. So what I found in reports was that Bruce left his house at 10, but didn't get to his in-laws' house about 11:30. Now, I was like, why would it take him an hour and a half to get there if he's only going 20 miles? But then I was like, okay, two things. One, he's in Cali, and that traffic in Cali and Los Angeles is crazy. So it very well could take him 20 minutes to get from point A to point B. But then when I think back to him renting the 2 rental cars, I'm like, okay, well, maybe within that hour and a half time that it took him, he dropped 1 car off and took the other car. And so I think my theory is correct, because after the case, investigators said that 1 rental car was found parked in front of his ex-wife's attorney's house. So about 11:30, Bruce is pulling up to his ex-in-law's house. Now he puts on the Santa suit. He has these 9mm with him. He has his guns. And then remember I told y'all he built a device similar to a bomb. But the thing about this bomb is that it was kind of like laced with fuel. So when the device is activated, it would explode. Now the thing that Bruce had did is that he stuffed all the 9mm and the he wrapped the bomb in like a gift wrapping paper. You know what I'm saying? So he gets out the car. He's walking up to the ex-in-law's house and he knocks on the door. Boom, boom, boom. Well, remind y'all, I told y'all the Ortegas were a very close-knit family. So Sylvia's niece ends up running to the door and sees that Santa's there. Now, she doesn't realize that it's Bruce, but she sees that Santa's there. And she's only like 8 years old. So she opens the door, and then Bruce immediately starts spraying. Okay, he ends up shooting the little girl in the face, but luckily she does survive. But like from what I found is that she actually had like the bullet grazed her face. But then Bruce goes in and he just starts shooting anybody in the place, like just spraying bullets everywhere. People are running, screaming, hiding on the tables. But then Bruce ends up stopped just like mindlessly shooting at any and everybody in the house, and he starts going after Sylvia's family. So he shoots Sylvia, he shoots her mom and dad, one of her sisters, one of her brothers, like sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and he's just going crazy at this point. So then somehow the bomb that Bruce had, it got activated like with some of the bullets that were spraying, and the whole house ends up exploding. Okay, and Bruce ends up getting 3rd-degree burns. Now during this time, after Bruce had basically shot everybody, he goes back to the car and drives to his brother's house, which is like in Sylmar, I think it's called, and that's an additional 20 minutes or 20 miles from where the Ortega family was. Now, before we get into what happened after when he got to his brother's house, let's take a minute to pause, because I want to discuss that during the shooting, there are some inconsistencies in the case. Okay, so one of Sylvia's sister, I think it was Letitia, I think the name was that she was actually able to run to a neighbor's house and call 911, and she was able to report it. Now, the dispatcher was like, "Hey, ma'am, do you know who's, shooting?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's my brother-in-law, Bruce Pardo." Now, mind y'all, remember, they divorced on December 18th. It was finalized. This shooting, this massacre, happened December 24th. So 6 days later, this is when his plan commences. Mind you, Bruce had been planning this since we know at least from September. Okay, so that's 3 months. Okay, so Bruce was very meticulous and very what's the word? He was a planner. So some of the inconsistencies that I saw was that, now I told y'all that basically when Bruce started shooting and he was holding basically the bomb, that's how the house exploded. There's another report saying that basically Bruce started shooting, everybody's running out the house, and basically Bruce, like after he is, I guess, gone and left the scene and he's killed all those people, he drops the bomb or the wrapped package, and there are reports saying that the 8-year-old niece picks it up, runs outside with it, and then somehow it activates and blows up. I don't know how true that is, but all I know is that at some point the Ortega house and the Covina community end up basically getting bombed. Okay, so then I think it's important that we mention the victims that were killed by such vengefulness, hate, bitterness. So among the deceased were Sylvia Ortega, who was Bruce's ex-wife, Alicia and Joseph, who were Sylvia's parents, Letitia's daughter, Alicia Jr. So I don't know if that was the little girl that got grazed in the face or if it was a different daughter. I'm not able to confirm that. Then we have Charles and Cherry Ortega, who were her brother and sister-in-law. And then we have Joseph and Teresa Ortega, who were some more in-laws. And then we have Alicia Ortiz, who was her sister. Then we have Michael Ortiz, who was Sylvia's nephew. Now, this is where I just start to wonder. So basically, Bruce goes to his brother's house. It's like 3 a.m. The brother isn't there. So he ends up taking the Santa suit off, and he leaves it in the second car. Well, I guess in the car, yeah, in the car that he had drove. So over to his brother's house. So he leaves it in there, goes inside, and you already know what he did. He, shot himself. So then, I guess like neighbors or so heard it, or I can't remember if they said neighbors heard it or if his brother came home and saw him in his home deceased. But either way, when investigators arrived to the brother-in-law's house, they saw the car. So they approached the car and they see the Santa suit, because when Letitia called 911, they was like, yeah, he's wearing a Santa suit. So that was like the identifying factor when the investigators were trying to confirm, is this our guy? So they go to the car and they're trying to get the and they try to open the door. Well, they open the door, but Bruce has rigged this Santa suit to another bomb in the car. So basically, if the investigators would have tried to pull the Santa suit, the whole car would have blew up. And so this just shows you that Bruce was so like intelligent. Like, you're using this intelligence for such evil doings when you could literally be building like a plane or something. You know what I'm saying? Like he was already an aerospace engineer, so I'm sure that has to do something with planes, right? I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, it's so much that he could have done. And then here is something I found interesting. So once they found him inside, they said that basically he had $17,000 strapped to his body. And he had like, what did he do? He had bought a passport, a map, and a ticket to Idaho to see one of his friends. And so basically, when Bruce sustained those 3rd-degree burns, it kind of threw his plan off, because Bruce actually planned on living. He never planned on actually offing himself, and I hate to say it that way, but he never planned on doing that. Once he had the 3rd-degree burns, I don't really know like what his mindset was. Maybe he was just like, oh, this is just too much, and he just decided to end it all. But yeah, so they end up finding all this in the car. And And this is my thing. Like, Bruce, why did you have to do this? You know, Bruce couldn't just take his bitterness and vengefulness like somewhere else. You know, like from what I've seen, this is still affecting that community. Mind you, this was only in 2008. So it's not like it was that long ago. Like, if you're a millennial and you're close to my age, we were in high school. Okay. We weren't graduating yet, but we was real close to graduating. But it's just like, did you really have to do this? Like, he caused such devastation. And something that I found online is that I actually found an Instagram for them, and they actually still honor those victims to this day. And it was actually a total of 9 killed and 3 were injured from this vicious attack. And this is the thing. It's not like this was a random attack or a random person doing this. This was a former family member, okay? Their ex-son-in-law, her ex-husband, their ex-brother-in-law, you know, who planned this devastation. And just, could you imagine, like, you go to a holiday Christmas party and you're trying to go there to have a good time, you know, enjoy the festivities with your family, food, laughing, games, and then this like diabolical Santa comes to the door and just changes the trajectory of a whole community's Christmas Eve. Like, what was that? Well, it's 2025 now. That's 17 years ago, y'all. Okay? That little 8-year-old is 25 now. It's just, I don't know. It's just really, really heartbreaking. I just can't believe somebody would just be so mad and vengeful that he decided that this was the only way to move on. Craziness. But, yeah. I just, sometimes I can't believe the evilness that people decide to do. You know, this case just makes me realize that you just never know what a person is truly capable of. You know, Bruce was a well-regarded member of the community. He had a good job. He had a nice home, and he just let bitterness and vengefulness and hate just overtake him. Like, Bruce did not have to do this at all. You know, like, I'll never understand why he did it. But I think it's important to remember that not every motive makes sense, but it's always messy. And this was truly a messy, messy situation. On our next episode of Messy Motives, a True Crime Podcast, we dive into the Lawson family murders. Now listen, when I started digging into this one, I was like, hold on, North Carolina. But this case was very interesting to me. I've never heard of this one before I started researching. So I'm pretty, I don't say excited to yap about it, but I'm excited to yap about it. So be sure to tune in, and I will see y'all next week.